It sounds counterintuitive, right? That somebody who loves you, like a partner, a friend, a family member, would be encouraging you to shrink. Be realistic, be practical, go where the money is. What if I told you that that has got nothing to do with you and everything to do with them? They are somebody who has committed themselves to a life of mediocrity and mundanity, and when presented with somebody that isn't committed to that, it's going to trigger them. They're going to get mad about it, not because of anything you've done, but because you're reminding them of what they're not, because you're reminding them of who they could have become. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hattie Hyder, and on this channel we talk all things self-development, mindset, self-love, growth, leveling up, and of course welcome back if you are a subscriber. So today's chapters are as follows. Number one is why people accept mediocrity in the first place and why you don't have to. Who are the people who do accept a life of mediocrity and mundanity? What kind of things can you look out for to then be able to clock it and then be like, cool, you know, I should take their advice with a pinch of salt. Third is, what are their intentions? Like, why would they be encouraging you to commit to a life of mediocrity? Why would they want to keep you where you're shrinking, where you are in a box that they prefer or that they accept? The final chapter is why are you different? Why are you different from those people that are willing to accept mediocrity and mundanity? Why is that? Why being different is a great thing. And reminding you that there's nothing wrong with you. Just because you're surrounded by people who have accepted that doesn't mean to say that you should accept that as well. But let's get on to the first chapter, which is why people accept mediocrity and mundanity. Hi, Future Hattie here. I just came in to explain to you this because this is new to my channel. The white ones are my daily goals and wellness planners, which is to incorporate self-care and productivity all in one. And this is what it looks like inside. This is what you would follow every day. I also have my 10-minute manifestation and reflection journal, which is where you describe your dream life right at the beginning, all the different aspects of it, and then you utilize the daily part of the planner to manifest every day and to commit to your goals and your dreams every day. They are available in the link below. I also have an online course coming out within the next month, which is People Pleaser to Powerhouse. It's a 4-week online course, self-led. You will be able to contact me via Telegram throughout the course on anything that you need help with, but the whole point of it is for you to set boundaries, stand up for yourself, take up space, and essentially become a master of saying no, avoiding FOMO, and standing your ground and being confident enough to stand your ground in the face of people trying to push you back down into silence. That's what my online course is for. So again, if you're interested in that, head to the link in my bio, and I'm so excited for you to glow up, level up, and start saying no. Like, you've got this. I honestly would say around the ages of like 24, 25, 26, so like your mid-20s, I feel like this is the crossroads at which people choose to go for their dreams, go for something a bit extraordinary, or they go down the sort of mundanity, mediocrity route, doing something that, you know, they're told to do, that they think they should do, that they think that, you know, society will accept. That is the age at which people do realize how difficult it is to follow their dreams and how much effort it's going to take. That childlike magic is starting to phase. The problem with that is that obviously the dream still remains. I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a singer. Because they don't make time for it anymore, because they've kind of given up on it, they end up sticking to something that perhaps is okay, but it doesn't set their soul on fire, and they end up in the valley of doom. It's like an arrow. If you go into something, it's kind of easy to slip into, but really difficult to come out. And that's how I see corporate work or 9 till 5. It's like people have their dreams down here and they're like, well, I have to do this because that's what my parents accept. I have to do this because, you know, otherwise I won't have any money right now, and so on. And then they find it really difficult to come back out, which is why many people end up just leaving their dreams and putting their dreams to the side, because it's so difficult to think of a reality once they're so used to it that isn't revolved around the 9 till 5. So people find themselves in there and they end up resenting their 9 till 5 because they never got to follow their dream. They're in this ambivalent relationship with their work. It doesn't set their soul on fire, but it's not too bad. That's actually comfortable for the ego, because it's much easier to think to yourself, well, my dreams are never going to happen anyway. I'm never going to be able to get there anyway. So I'm just going to commit to this life that I've built for myself so far because I'm never going to get there anyway. That's so much easier than thinking, oh, something might happen, something could happen, but that means that I have to do work. That means that I have to do the difficult thing. That means I have to take risk. That means I have to have uncomfortable conversations. That means I have to live below my means for a bit, or take a risk, or take a leap on myself. That's quite uncomfortable for the ego, because the ego is trying to protect you. The ego is trying to protect you from pain. Following your dreams does require pain. Following your dreams does require doubt, self-doubt, and questioning yourself, and imposter syndrome. And a lot of people don't want to face that. It's a very safe place for the ego to commit to mundanity and mediocrity, because to think of or to contemplate the opposite, which is to actually go for your dreams, to actually go for things that make you feel good, that also comes with things like I said, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, questioning yourself, doing difficult things, risks, discomfort. And say on top of that, if somebody is committed to the victim mentality, it kind of reminds me of the same thing. If somebody is forever like, oh, well, that just never happened to me, I'm not good enough, this will never work out for me, and so on. Again, it's a very comfortable place for your ego to be in, because you can always attribute bad things that happen to you or things not working out as something outside of yourself. You can always attribute that to external factors rather than thinking, oh, actually, maybe if I took the action, maybe if I took the risk, maybe if I did the uncomfortable thing, maybe I could be within a chance of achieving my dream. But that comes with a lot of uncertainty and people don't want to take it. So it's much easier, especially if they're in that victim mentality, to think to themselves, oh, well, it was never going to happen anyway. Good things just don't happen to me. I'm not like a, worthy person. So therefore, like, I don't have to do anything. You don't have to take action. You don't have to do the difficult thing. What a safe place to be in. Chapter 2 is who these types of people are. And I've already touched on it in the beginning, but these are the people that really truly have given up. And I'm not saying all people that have a mediocre or mundane life are like this. It's more of like a situation where they've accepted mediocrity and mundanity even though they wanted more for their life in the past. But these people, unfortunately, because they wanted more in the past and they never achieved it, or they never kind of took action towards it, they can be some of the most bitter people. I know people in my experience I've come across before where I've asked them about their dreams and then they've said like, look, I really wanted to be, a singer, an actor, a dancer, a musician. I've said, look, why don't you do it now? Why don't you just take a class? Or why don't you just spend like, part of your weekend doing it? And they're like, no. It's fine. I'm not good enough anyway. I often feel like these are the people that get most triggered by people who do follow their dreams, like you. Somebody who is following a path that is a bit unorthodox, is a bit different. Maybe your family has never done something like you before, like content creation or whatever. I know that, for example, my parents don't understand what content creation is really. Like, they don't understand the ins and outs of it because it's a new industry. And I think as well, certainly a lot of parents, they sacrifice their life, or they sacrifice a lot of their life for children. And I think sometimes if their children have more opportunities and are doing better, sometimes it can bother those parents because they see something in the kid that they wish that they had as a kid. And even friends as well, sometimes fake friends really don't like it or don't want to see their friends doing well in their respective path, because it's perhaps a reminder of the fact that they gave up on their dreams. It's a reminder of the fact that they didn't follow their heart and do what they need to do and take the action. They don't have the self-esteem or confidence to do what you do. And these people get very and deeply triggered and very upset when people do strive for their dreams. These people make themselves very obvious. They do not hide it. You can read them like a book. They will make backhanded comments. They will make snide comments. They will be passive aggressive. They'll fully insult you, make sort of micro-aggressive comments. They might try and sabotage you and so on. So really you've got to understand that the only reason why they're saying it is because you're reminding them of something they're not. You're reminding them of what they could have been. You're reminding them of what they could have gone for, even if it's not the same dream, because they gave up. They are kind of like a walking wound. Some of the most destructive people are failed artists because they want people to suffer like they are. If they're in this constant cycle of torture and they can't seem to escape, the reminder that they could take action towards their goal or take opportunities towards their goal. Misery loves company. They're going to want to either surround themselves with people who also are like them, or they're going to try and encourage you to join them, or they're going to try and sort of dissuade you from following your dreams, not necessarily directly, but they might, like I said, make snide comments, microaggressions, digs, and so on. It's more comfortable for them for you to join them and to stop reminding them of what they're not than it is for you to continue to follow your dreams. It's easier for you to shrink and to encourage you to shrink than it is to witness you blow up, than it is to witness you thrive and become the best version of yourself. Friends, family, a partner who is trying to bring you to mediocrity and mundanity, just like perhaps they've committed to, you've got to think about where their intentions are. And it's never really about you. As I said at the beginning, it's really got nothing to do with you. It's not because they care about you failing and they don't want to have to pick up the pieces. It's not because they're worried about whether or not you're going to get there or not. It's not necessarily coming from a place of like caring about you, even though they might frame it like that. Really, it's coming from a place of self soothing. And I think about this with some of my family members. When I decided to quit my corporate job to go for this full time, to be a content creator full time, they were encouraging me not to do that. Not because they didn't necessarily, back me, not because they thought that I couldn't do it. It was nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with whether or not they think that I'm worthy or not of content creation. They're imagining themselves in my position and thinking, oh my God, I'm really scared. I don't have an irregular income. It's going to be irregular from now on. I've just bought a house and I'm just living off savings until content creation becomes a full-time income. Oh, well, I've never had anything other than a corporate job, so like surely every other type of profession must be unstable and unsafe. That's them just projecting their fears if they were in your position. That doesn't mean that you have to do the same. You do not have the same temperament. You do not have the same outlook. You do not have the same way of thinking as they do. For me, it's the opposite. I see like the 9 till 5 as personally unsafe for me. It's relying on somebody else for your livelihood. That doesn't seem stable and safe for me. I'd rather make my own way, but I get how that would have been seen as like, oh my God, like no, surely not. Other people giving you advice is really just an attempt at self-soothing, and that's what they think is right. So they're going to want to encourage you to do what they think's the best, what they think is right. And obviously, unfortunately, it can have a bit of a toll on your mental health and your self-esteem and your sense of self, and obviously sort of perpetuates self-doubt and imposter syndrome because it feels like they're not being supportive. It's not about you, it's about them. On a more sinister note, it could just be jealousy. It could be somebody wanting to sabotage you. It could be somebody, like I said, maybe like a family member who sees you having a life that they wish that they'd had at your age, or they wish that they had kind of like had the confidence to do at their age, or maybe society would have accepted them doing if they were your age, and they just haven't been able to do that. There's been something, or especially I think for women, this has been a very big thing in that really only in the past 20 years have we had a huge amount of freedom when it comes to our career, and there's less stigmatizations on certain careers. We've had more freedom to follow our dreams, just like men have ever since the beginning of time. So I think for perhaps maybe mothers, aunties, older women in your family, they may resent you and they may feel jealous of you because you've been able to do things that they wish that they could have done. That might come in the form of criticizing you for maybe your job choices or moving to a certain city or clothes that you wear. It will come up in sort of criticizing you for the things you're doing because it's a direct reflection of what they wish that they could do. Honestly, whenever I hear somebody shit on me now and say critical things, even if it's backhanded, even if it's obvious or passive aggressive, I always just think, you're fucking envious. You wish you could do that. That's why you have such a problem with me doing it, is because you wish you could be so bold. You wish you could be so confident, and they can't. So it's much easier to criticize and judge and be, critical of other people than it is to acknowledge, oh shit, actually, they're just reminding me of what I'm not. They're just reminding me of something I wish I could do. They're just reminding me of like the bold person I wish I could be, It can also be control, and again, it kind of interlinks with jealousy in that perhaps a partner doesn't want you to do really well, doesn't want you to perhaps even do better than them, because then their ego is going to take a hit. That would make them feel inferior. That would mean that they end up putting you on a pedestal, even though obviously you don't ask for that. So instead of trying to encourage you like a normal good friend, good partner, good family member would do, it's much easier for them to discourage you from that, because the ulterior motive is that they don't want to be reminded of what they gave up. They don't want to be reminded of the fact that they might feel inferior to you, or they might feel like insecure because you're doing better than them or better than them. What does that even mean? It's all about insecurity. Insecure people and people that don't follow their dreams and people that give up on their dreams are obviously going to get triggered by somebody doing that. And again, this has got nothing to do with you. It's all about them. Them dissuading you from following your dreams, them trying to shit on what you're doing, is really just, first of all, them revealing to you that they're jealous, them revealing to you that they wish they could do what you're doing. But also, it's about them. It's about their insecurities, about their own limiting beliefs. It's about their feeling of inadequacy or their imposter syndrome. It's got nothing to do with you. They're not giving you advice. They're talking to themselves. People that take the piss out of anybody is 100% doing worse than you. Because nobody who's doing better than you is going to make snide comments. Nobody doing better than you is going to criticize you and shit on you for trying. It's much easier for them to deal with by taking it out on you and by criticizing you and by being vindictive to you and by trying to make you second guess yourself than it is to acknowledge that you're reminding them of what they're not. The final chapter is that some people are committed to a life of mundanity and mediocrity because they just can't fathom dreaming big. All right, you have big dreams, you have big aspirations, you want an incredible life with incredible things. And just because your reality doesn't show that, that does not mean that there's anything wrong with having those dreams. That does not mean that you can't build that. Some people just don't have a vision like yours. The thing is, when you talk about your vision, they're going to think you're crazy because they simply can't imagine a future like that, not only for you, but for themselves. Again, it's about them. It's not about you. So also be careful about who you talk to about your dreams, because some people just don't have the fucking bandwidth for it. They can't picture a life like that for somebody like you or somebody like them. You know, big dreams require a gorgeous imagination and a lot of self-love, and most people don't have that. Most people don't have self-love at all. Most people have low self-esteem. Most people have imposter syndrome. Other people are not a good parameter or measurement or yardstick in which to measure how life should be. Okay, most people follow the leader, most people toe the line, do what they're told to do, are pretty obedient. If you have big dreams, you're not going to be obedient. If you have big dreams, you're not going to follow a normal path. If you have big dreams, you're going to have to think outside the box. If you have big dreams, you're not going to, do what society says. If you have big dreams, you're going to be doing everything against what you're told to do or what society expects or what most people expect or out of the ordinary. Just anticipate that. So please do not be listening to people who have committed to a life of mundanity and mediocrity, because some of them, especially if they've given up on their dream, hate themselves, hate the fact that they don't have the confidence and self-assuredness to go for what they want. Somebody who's the opposite of all those things, it's going to be triggering. It's going to be a situation where they want to bring you back down to their level because that's where it's most comfortable for them. That's where it's most comfortable for their ego. Having big dreams for some people is like a jab to a wound, because you're reminding them of maybe where they could be. You're reminding them of the fact that there is a life possible, but because they've committed to victimhood, because they've committed to mediocrity and mundanity, they don't want to hear that, because they're like, no, I don't want evidence that proves that my life could be better. I want to only be reminded of the fact that I always had to have a mundane life, I always had to have a mediocre life, because to have evidence against the opposite is almost like proof that they could have done something, that they could have strived for more, that they could have taken action, that they could have been better. And a lot of people don't want to hear it because it's too uncomfortable, it's too painful. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me in the comments your experience with people that are perhaps committed to a life of mediocrity, mundanity, and how you have not listened to them, how you've avoided it, how you have not let that affect you. I really want to know, because it is very difficult to not let that affect you, especially when everybody around you is perhaps trying to bring you down, trying to get you to be realistic, practical, average, whatever, when you don't want to be, you don't want to live a normal average life. You want to live an alternative life. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. That really helps me out, and I love building this gorgeous community of people that care about self-love, mindset, elevating themselves, and self-development. I cannot wait to continue to build this community. But with that, have a fantastic remainder of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.